Okay, so today we're going to be talking about your editorials that you have to write for your next paper. So an editorial is basically a short opinion-based essay. So for this assignment you're going to write 2 editorials. They'll be about 1.5 to 2 pages each. If you have a topic that breaks down easily into pro and con, then you'll write one that is in support of the issue and one that is against it. So for example, if you're doing the death penalty, a pro death penalty editorial would be explaining why we should have the death penalty. A con death penalty editorial would be explaining why we should not have it. If you have something that doesn't break down easily into pro and con, something like cyberbullying or child abuse, where no one's going, yay, cyberbullying, yay, child abuse. Instead, there you would want to look at competing viewpoints. So you might, if you were doing cyberbullying, write one editorial that was from the point of view of someone saying, cyberbullying is the job of the parents to make sure their kids aren't getting bullied, and then maybe another one that says it is something that should be illegal and police should be arresting people for it, we should be prosecuting people for it, that sort of thing. So it would be looking more at competing viewpoints about the same topic. So step by step, you're going to pick a controversial topic that has a possible solution, because the final paper is going to be a proposal. Now, you're not required to keep the same topic for your proposal, but if you do, then a lot of your work is already done for you, because a lot of what you're doing in the editorials are things that you're going to have to do in the proposal anyway. So if you keep the same topic, then you're already ahead of the game when you get to that final paper. And that's why in this paper I make you include possible solutions so that you can start understanding what a proposal is and potentially use this paper to help you write your next paper. So you're going to research and examine the different sides of the issue. Again, it might be pro-con, or it might just be different viewpoints about your topic. You'll create a persona for each side. So we're going to talk about what a persona is in just a second. And then you'll write your editorial from the point of view of both of those personas. Now, for research, some great places to go. Of course, you can do an online search on the library catalog, find books and documentaries. Encyclopedia.com is another good place to go for sources. You can get some good background information on what your topic is at that site. You could also look at library reference books if you want unbiased background information, which is a good thing to include to help you get a better understanding of your topic. And then finally, library databases are great sources for finding articles. Some of my favorites are Points of View Reference Center and Opposing Viewpoints Resource Center. So just to quickly show you how to get to those databases, you want to go to the main Upstate page, click on Library, and then here in this box down here, Database and E-Resource Index, you'll see these, the alphabet is here. If you know the name of your database, you can just click on the first letter and then scroll down. So for example, if we wanted to go to Opposing Viewpoints, we could do that right here. And it will ask you for your username and password. Once you put that in and click Enter, it will take you to the database. So you can access the databases from any computer, your personal computer or a library computer, as long as you're logging in. Now, if you don't know what database you want, of course you can just scroll through some of them, but that's why I've given you the names of 2 right here, just to give you a place to get started. Let's go back to talking about personas. So a persona is a voice or a character that an author uses to represent a specific viewpoint. So it's written as I believe, I think, I feel, even though it's not technically you. It's seen as being separate, not representative of your actual voice and beliefs. So you are pretending to be someone else. Everybody knows what an actor is. An actor is someone who is pretending to be someone else on stage or on film. You're doing the exact same thing with your personas, only you're writing it down. You're going to pretend to be someone else. So this is not necessarily what you believe. It is what your characters that you're going to be speaking through believe. So you want to identify your persona for both of your editorials, and you want to tell us what their stake is in the issue, and identify that stake at the beginning of your essay. So this goes along with They Say, I Say chapters with identifying the so what and the who cares. So the who cares is who your persona is, and the so what is what they have at stake here. So here's our who cares. We're going to look at some examples. We'll start with the topic of legalizing medical marijuana. So you want to think about who would care about something like that, who would be personally affected. And you don't just want to pretend to be anyone. You want someone who has a strong connection to this topic, someone who has something to lose or gain. So for example, for your pro persona, you might choose to write from the point of view of a cancer patient, and from the con persona, from the parent of teenagers. So you would want to have somewhere in the first couple of lines of your editorial identifying who you are, who this persona is. I am a cancer patient as a parent of teenagers. So that's the who cares. For another example, we can talk about stricter gun control laws. So again, some examples. Someone who's in favor of stricter gun control laws might be someone who's been shot by a criminal. Someone who's against stricter gun control laws might be someone who owns a gun and is happy with being able to own a gun. So you would want to identify who is this persona. I was shot 5 years ago by a carjacker, as the pro editorial, as the con one, as a hunter who owns many guns, both for hunting and protection. So you're explaining who is this persona in each case. And then our final example, smoking ban. So again, you want to think about who is personally affected. Who is someone who would be affected by smoking bans? Obviously on the pro side, someone who has health effects that might be harmed by smoking. On the con side, a smoker obviously is going to be affected. So our pro side is a non-smoker with asthma, our con side is a happy smoker, and again we could start our editorials by saying something like, I have asthma, I enjoy a good cigarette, just explaining who is this persona. The so what someone has at stake here, you want to identify that as well. So going back to our legalizing medical marijuana example, I am a cancer patient and medical marijuana can help alleviate the effects of the chemo I'm on. So not just who this person is, the cancer patient, but also explaining how they have something at stake. Don't assume your audience knows. You want to spell it out for them. I am a cancer patient and medical marijuana can help alleviate the effects of the chemo I'm on. On the other side, as a parent of teenagers, I'm worried that legalizing marijuana, even if it's only for medical use, will make it easier for kids like mine to get their hands on this drug. So again, we're identifying the persona, parent of teenagers, and then explaining what they have at stake. For our gun control law, on the pro side, I was shot 5 years ago by a carjacker. It might not have happened if there were stricter laws on who can and can't buy a gun. So we've got our persona, someone shot by a carjacker, and then what they have at stake, that maybe this wouldn't have happened to them if there were stricter gun control laws in place. On the con side, I own a gun for protection. I live in a dangerous area of town, and without a gun, I can't keep myself and my family safe from criminals who might threaten us. So again, our persona is someone who owns a gun, and then what they have at stake is they need to protect themselves and their family. So this is what you want to do with your editorials as well, is show who is this persona, what do they have to gain or lose when it comes to this topic. And then our final example, smoking bans. I have asthma and cigarette smoke can give me an asthma attack, on the pro side. On the con side, I enjoy a good cigarette and my legal right to smoke is violated by government bans on smoking in public areas. All right, so hopefully you're seeing the pattern here by now. Identify your persona and then explain what do they have to gain or lose when it comes to this topic. So when you write your editorials, you want to, as we've mentioned, start by introducing your persona and then move on to explaining what that person has at stake. And then you'll get into identifying reasons why that persona and other people who would be on that same side would have for being on the particular side that they're on. So for the pro editorial, identify some of the main points people have for supporting the issue. Give them through the voice of your persona. Same thing for the con side. So why should someone, for example, support smoking bans in the pro side? What are some of the main reasons, not just of that persona, but also people in general? And then you'll do the same thing for the other side. So with our smoking bans, why would the person who is a smoker want there to not be smoking bans, and why might other people want there to not be smoking bans? So you're using that persona to sort of summarize the argument over this topic. In order to do this, you have to play the believing game, like They Say, I Say talks about. Put yourself in the shoes of someone else. Try to see the world from a perspective of people who disagree with you. So, in all likelihood, you will agree with one of these editorials and disagree with the other one. I should not be able to tell who you agree and disagree with. You should be fair and make both of your personas be intelligent, rational people. And we'll talk about some good and bad examples in just a second. But both of your personas need to sound like decent, intelligent people, and I should not be able to tell which side of the argument you personally are on. So you want to be able to view your topic rationally and objectively. So don't pick something that you're extremely passionate about. If you can't see the other side's points, then you should do a different topic because you're probably not going to do a good job with this assignment. You want to be able to be sympathetic and unbiased to both sides of the argument in your editorials. So good editorials must be willing to hear both sides of the conversation. And here's part of why, if you're not already understanding. If you aren't willing to listen to and include the conversation points in your editorials using a rational sounding persona, they will come off as biased. And so I want to clarify, your personas will be opinionated. They will be declaring an opinion, but they should sound rational. They should sound intelligent. And we'll get an example here of what they should not sound like. So going back to our discussion that we've had about the Confederate flag, here's what you don't want to do. My name is Billy Bob, and I fly the Confederate flag in my yard because I hate other races. I like to sit on my front porch with my wife/sister, feeling the breeze blow through my mullet, guzzling Natty Light, listening to country music, and thinking about the good old days when slavery was still legal. This is what the rebel flag means to me, and this is why I fly it proudly. Now, what's wrong with this editorial? Okay, we are identifying a persona, we are taking a stance, but obviously this is being very insulting to the side of people who support the flag. So I read this and I'm instantly like, okay, this person does not like the Confederate flag at all. They think that anyone who flies it is a racist, is a, dumb redneck. So you should not be doing this. We're not considering this an intelligent, rational persona. Don't do things like this. We'll look at some good and bad examples, some more good and bad examples in just a second. So now we're going to switch to the topic of obesity, specifically focusing on the example of overweight kids suing McDonald's. Now this is something I want to bring up here, that when you have your topic, you might have something big like obesity, and in that case, not that you can't just write a general editorial about obesity, but it might be easier to focus on something more specific, have a subtopic for these editorials to be discussing. Some of the samples that we'll look at on censorship are looking at specific cases rather than trying to tackle censorship as a whole. So if you have a big topic and it feels overwhelming to talk about all the different reasons someone would be on one side or another, you might want to look at a more specific subtopic or a more specific case that you can focus on. So our personas that we're going to deal with on the pro side are parents of an overweight kid suing McDonald's, and on the con side, a CEO of McDonald's. So we're going to look at both good and bad examples and talk about why are they good and bad. We'll start with the unfair editorial on the pro side. I am the mother of one of the children suing McDonald's for irresponsibly promoting unhealthy food to kids. I spend all my time working, and so I neglected my kid and gave him money to eat whatever he wanted. As a result, he went out and got fat. Now someone has to pay. It might as well be McDonald's. They have lots of money. They should pay me for making my son fat. He was dumb enough not to realize how bad it is to eat a hamburger, fries, and milkshake for dinner every night, and they should pay us money for not specifically telling my dumb kid that their food is bad for him. So again, like our previous example, if we analyze this, we can tell that this is not being fair to the person on this side of the argument. This is a result of the writer of this editorial not being able to take seriously the side of the mother of the child suing McDonald's. And so what this says to me is you cannot objectively view this topic, therefore you should not have done this topic. You have to be able to write a fair editorial on both sides. So let's look at a fair one from this same persona. I am the mother of one of the children suing McDonald's for irresponsibly promoting unhealthy food to kids. So that's our persona, what's highlighted in red. And again, make sure you're identifying your persona early on in your editorial. I'm a single mom working 2 jobs, and I'm rarely home at night to make my son dinner, so I give him money to buy his own food. I try to teach him to buy healthy foods, but there aren't many healthy fast food options out there. My son made bad choices about what he ate and ended up overweight, but not all the blame rests with him. He was influenced by McDonald's numerous ads that show off their tasty burgers and fries, but never explain the important nutritional information. Because of McDonald's deception, my son didn't know how bad the food he was constantly eating really was, and as a result, he is now suffering from many obesity-related health problems, but there are many others out there like him. So this is our summary of the problem. The problem is not enough information about nutritional content, not enough, or too much advertising that doesn't show the ultimate consequences. So this part, we've identified the persona up here. Here we're summarizing the argument. Why would someone be on this side of the argument? And then finally, here's our proposal. McDonald's needs to take some responsibility by offering healthier food options and being more straightforward about the nutritional content and negative effects of their food. So these are the 3 main parts to the editorial. Of course, yours that you do for your final paper should be longer than this, should include more information than this, but this is the basics, is identify the persona, summarize the argument, and then give some kind of proposal. What's the solution to this problem? So this is our pro side. Now we'll look at bad and good examples on the con side. So here's our bad example on the con side. I am a greedy CEO of McDonald's, and I promote unhealthy food to children in order to make money. I don't care if children get fat from eating McDonald's, as long as I get paid. If kids get fat, blame it on their negligent parents. It's not my responsibility to keep kids healthy. My job is to promote McDonald's food so people will buy our products and pay me lots of money. I don't care if our food makes them gain weight and clogs their arteries. It's a parent's job to keep her kids from getting fat, not mine. So again, we're seeing the pattern here, hopefully, that this is bias. This is an author not being able to keep his or her own view in check, and so they are picking a persona and unfairly representing that persona's beliefs. So this is a bad example. Let's look at our final good example. As CEO of McDonald's, I understand why some people believe my company is irresponsibly promoting unhealthy food to children in order to make money. So again, here's our persona. Children are impressionable, and it certainly isn't our intention for these children to become obese. However, we can't ignore how important the role of parenting is in a child's nutrition habits. It's my company's job to promote our product and thus turn a profit. It's a parent's job to decide when and how much fast food to allow her children to have. So this is the summary of this side of the argument, the con side. And finally, our solution. Parents and schools need to work together to teach children how to fit our fast food into a healthy, balanced diet. So if we compare this to the other good, unbiased editorial, we've got our two personas. We've got each persona summarizing why they're on that particular side of the argument, and each persona offering a possible solution. So that's what you're doing here with your own editorials. For your writing assignment, I want you to pick a topic you're considering writing about for your editorials, and I want you to write a short paragraph for both editorials that includes the following. Who is the persona specifically? And what does that person have at stake with this topic? And then number 2, list at least one main reason your persona and others with similar beliefs are on this side of the argument. And finally, according to the persona, what is a possible solution to this problem? Now, please don't write me an essay. I'm not asking you to do a rough draft of your editorials with this assignment. So this, like I say up here, is a short paragraph, and I'm going to show you an example of exactly what I'm looking for. I will say you cannot use this example. So don't do smoking bans. Even if you're considering doing it, don't do it because it's going to be too hard to do unless you pick completely different personas. So here's what I'm looking for with this writing assignment. Here's your pro side. As a person who suffers from asthma, breathing in even a small amount of cigarette smoke can give me an asthma attack. So that's identifying the persona and what they have at stake. Because of the health risks cigarette smoke poses, I believe that there should be laws stating people are only allowed to smoke inside their own cars or homes, banning people from ever smoking cigarettes in public. So, after the persona and what they have at stake, here we have general reasons why people would be on that side because of the health risk, and now we have a possible solution that this persona is offering. So that's the pro side, and then the con side. I am a law-abiding citizen in America, and as such, I have a legal right to smoke. So that's our persona and what they have at stake. Government bans on smoking in any public area are a violation of my rights. However, I understand that we must protect children and people with health problems. Therefore, I believe there should only be smoking bans in certain places such as schools, playgrounds, and hospitals. So after the persona and what they have at stake, we're given a general reason for being on that side, that it's violating people's rights. And then the solution is, yes, we should protect certain people and have bans in certain places. So this is what I want you to do for your writing assignment. Notice this is just a couple of sentences. So I'm looking not for length here, but for being specific, for identifying a persona, what they have at stake, and then at least one reason why people would be on that side of the argument and a possible solution. So follow this example, and that's what I'm looking for your writing assignment that you will turn in and we'll talk about in our next class. All right, so that is it for our editorials discussion.